Good evening, everybody. And I think after we have understood the different models, I hope you're able to see my screen. So after we have understood the different models, it is important for us to understand now who are the target groups, whom are we to have these consultations uh, with whom, how, what are we to do exactly, because there won't be one particular model with one group, with different groups, target groups, it will be different. So firstly, I think it is important for every diocese to identify their target groups based on the demographics of the diocese, the population in the diocese, probably the cultures, the languages, and the existing structures already. By existing structures, for example, we have our parishes, then we have institutions, we may have commissions and apostolates. So based on that, because each of them will cater to a different target group. Our parishes, though, have all the mixed group there, but what will come out from there will be more of a community response. Things like commissions, a commission on youth or family or laity will target that particular group. So to say, what is the role of young people in a synodal church? What is the role of ecology in this journeying together? What is the role of seminarians and priests in this church, that is a synodal church journeying together? So here I've listed down on the first. The first is all our existing structures, which is in general across the country: catechetics, ecology, ecumenism, laity, theologians, church scholars, SCC, seminarians, priests, religious brothers, sisters, fathers, be it under CRI or otherwise, women, and youth. Then comes a little one step further. These are people associated with our church and our institutions. For example, the domestic workers within our ecclesial setups. Have we ever had a chat with the cook in our parishes or the staff in our institutions about what is their experience of the church? What is their experience of journeying together? What is their experience of being part of this entire structure? Educational institutions, the teachers and students there, what is their experience of the church, what has been their relationship with the church and with the society, which are the three main areas of this synodal theme. Healthcare institutions, the medical staff there, patients, administrative leaders, the different media persons. We have a lot of relations with media persons, with journals, with news portals, etc. How is the relationship of the church with them, and vice versa? Similarly, with social service areas, our NGO staff, all those people with whom we work, public relations, with political leaders, with diplomatic relations, the entire diplomacy, wherever it exists. This may not be for everyone. Secular forums and organizations that work closely with the church. So these are those sectors that are a part of the functioning of the church. So involving having consultations with them. The next is one step further. Our target groups are those people at the peripheries, which are also part of the church or not part of the church. It could be non-churchy people. No, all those people in our parishes and institutions, especially this is for parishes, who may not come to church, who just come maybe for one Sunday or just come twice in a year for Christmas and Easter, the non-churchy people. Then those who have left the Catholic Church, probably some who are very much involved and have left today, old age homes, differently abled persons, prisoners, slums and street children, hawkers, laborers, pandemic affected families is, I think, recent, people at the peripheries, transgenders, the LGBTQIA people, addicts, and people under rehabilitation, mentally ill, migrants, etc. This would again depend, as I said, these target groups would vary from a diocese to diocese. Maybe metropolitan cities might have some more, rural areas might have others. So it is important for us to map, for the synodal team to first have a little blueprint of who are the target groups they are going to target in this whole process. So, and then you need to reach out to the contact persons or the coordinators for that. So, for example, in the parishes, maybe the parish council or an appointed coordinator. If it is category 1 or 2, maybe our commissions, maybe all the various forums and lay associations in the diocese, CRI, know that lies and work with these people. or maybe with the social work forums. So having a contact person there, planning a strategy of how they are going to engage in a consultation and dialogue. Now, next comes what to do with these people. Now, though the methodology or probably the questions, there are given various themes in the Vademekum, which we would expect, or at least the synodal teams need to read. There are many there. Many can be developed, but four significant questions that could apply to all of these, which could be the cheat ticket, you could say. The little trick would be these four questions, which would apply to all of these groups. Is one is how is their journeying with God, each individual or a group of people, their relationship, their journeying with God. The second is how is their journeying with the church. That is where the aspect of participation comes back. What is their involvement and journey with the church? Then how is their journeying with the community, with fellow brothers and sisters, with maybe people in my workplace, in my neighborhood, various other places. So how is my journey within the Christian community before that? The Christian community, that is where the aspect of communion comes inside. Am I in communion with people? So what my experience, then my experience with God, my experience in the church, with my community members, fellow Catholics, and then what is their dream and conviction for themselves, for the church and the society. That is where the aspect of mission comes in. So when you put these questions forward, let's say to a group of maybe migrants, their journey with God, they will share probably some of their stories of faith. Their journey with the church, they will share probably part of their migration stories. How are they received in the new place? Their journey with a community, and similarly, what is their dream? In dream and conviction, you will get out what is how they have perceived or they want this church to be a synodal church, how they have dreamt of a synodal church, and you will get the pains or the challenges or where it is not and how it can be, a lot of suggestions and feedback. Or what is the goal of a consultation now? Now, the consultation, as we heard earlier, also could be two ways. One could be a very formal, a routine consultation where we have our seminars, we have conferences, we get together a group of people, we throw questions, divide them in groups, or the other could be an informal. That's why you see the pictures there, it depicts the two. One is a formal consultation where you have everything very well prepared, and the other could be an informal consultation where it is a chat, you get together people of different backgrounds, and that is where you talk about their personal experience of faith, their experience with the church, and what do they wish to emerge from this church. Now the group brings out the goal of consultation is that the group brings out their concerns. They bring out their struggles, joys, hopes related to the theme, the topic, the question, or reflection chosen. It could also be based on one biblical passage. It could be based on one particular topic. For example, if you talk about young people, or you're talking about the women, or a theme of the synod, or one of those, we've seen already the models of the 10 themes, the 5 themes, and the 3 key pillars of the synodal theme. That examples and experiences emerge rather than just opinions or generic thoughts. It is very important to bring out examples and experiences of people and not just it should be like that, it should be like that, we should do it like that, the church should have been, but it's not. That is not going to take us anywhere. Participants have a positive experience among them, that of feeling listened to. It is very important that people in this whole process, be it a formal consultation and formal, feel that they have been listened to, therefore giving everyone a chance to express openly and frankly, and be hopeful that their thoughts and suggestions will be considered. So at times it is also more important to listen and not hear. At times a particular person or a group of people sitting silent might also convey a lot of things. Probably that could be their disagreement or loss of hope on the particular question or topic, and that's why they're silent. So understanding this aspect of it, and not to arrive to a conclusion or agreement, but that it is an open-ended process. It has to be open-ended, as we heard in the previous presentation by Nisha and Cheryl also. People need to know that what they speak is going to be confidential. Creating a synodal experience and gathering the fruits is what the main focus of the consultation is. That people need to have this experience, that this is what a synodal church is, where everyone gets to share, to speak, to be listened to, and has a role to play in the challenges or the growth of the church, and has also a core responsibility. So the consultations aim to provide the practice of synodality on the local level. The goal is not just to simply provide responses or to predetermined questions, but to open a space for sharing a synodal experience with one another at the local level. So we should not go already with prepared. It is fine to choose themes and questions, but we should not have already answers to them. It is important to have that open space where they are able to share. To foster a synodal experience. Now, the Vadamekam proposes different methodologies and tools that can be adapted. Locally, there is a lot of resource available in terms of what various countries and dioceses are doing, many on our own national website, and probably diocesan teams will come up with their own resource. But what is important is to understand that there is different methodologies and tools, and everything needs to foster that experience in people. Uh, the diocesan synthesis should collect the fruits and honest feedback of the participants from the local synodal experience rather than transmitting generic summaries. As we said, it shouldn't be a generic summary of, let's say, not to quote, but the church is like that, or or the clergy is like that. No, we need to have proper fruits, proper feedback, proper experiences, and how that can be changed on a very practical level at the local level. Okay, now this is part of the process. Appointing the diocesan contact person, setting up a diocesan synodal team. So now most probably we assume one has happened already. Setting up a synodal team is the next point, which some have done it. Otherwise, the others probably are still on the way and some will need to do it. Then the next comes discerning the path for your diocese. As we have all been saying, there are different models. As Father Gilbert said, different methodologies of unfolding this process in the diocese. So it is the synodal team who has to discern that path for the diocese. Then planning the participatory process. How are you to engage people? Are we going to have only parishes having consultations, or are we also going to have our commissions? Are we also going to reach out to probably other peripheral people, or are we also going to reach out to probably people who are not even Catholics? So that is the job of the synodal team to figure out. Preparing the group coordinators, having consultation meetings, having training programs. What we are having now is part of the national teams training program. You can certainly have in your own diocese also various training programs for different groups, providing orientations, workshops for the synodal team and coordinators, then communicating to everyone. And now, again, communicating to everyone will also involve different ways. It could be a pastoral letter of the bishop. It could be through letters. It could be through people reaching out and speaking in person, training, awareness. It could also be printed material, circulating leaflets, pamphlets, brochures, etc. Social media certainly can be used very well for this, which we would encourage every diocese to explore the possibility of forming a media team or utilizing their existing, if they have media institutions, they have a media commission that is well equipped, utilizing that to spread the information. And then implementing, monitoring, and guiding the synodal process is very important. The synodal team will have to implement it, monitor it, and guide the entire process through the next 3 months. Finally, culminating at the diocesan synod meeting, which is called a pre-synodal meeting because it is in preparation for the final synod of bishops in 23. And then after that, preparing and summarizing the synthesis or the entire document, which will reflect the synodality of your diocese, which will reflect an entire demographical survey, statistical information, a lot of information that probably might be new to dioceses as well. That is what is ideal to happen. The synodal consultations and activities is the heart of the process. So a lot has to be invested in that in terms of resources, a very well planned methodology, a very well strategized way of reaching, of giving and receiving, as we said, of giving out and as well as getting back. So the point of divergence and convergence would be very important here. Some of the activities now that could be done are categorized into different target groups. One is at the parish level. There could be general consultations. For example, maybe the parish council having a consultation on, maybe themes from the synodal process, or probably on just the synodality in their parish and their diocese. General consultation, getting people together, getting the parish community together, calling people on Sundays. Those are general consultations where you would have a mixed population, mixed group, open-ended people you do not know who will turn up. And you have general consultations with them on probably very general questions of getting people to share, to listen, and to get a feeling of what is and what is expected and what is wrong and what is right. The next would be focused consultations, where the coordinators or the team or the clergy, the parish priests would know who is the audience. Okay, it is my youth group. It is probably my particular SCC association. It is probably maybe the Mahila Mandal or maybe the Vincent de Paul Society. So a focused consultation where you will choose focus themes. If you get, for example, young people, you would choose themes relevant to them. If you get migrants of the parish together, it will be themes relevant to them. So focused consultations. The next would be informal events, just to see the journeying together. How are people journeying together? Maybe one day a dinner for a parish community or for the parish council, where you have a random chat on how is the life of the parish and all of that. So it is an informal where you will be seeing the journeying together. Is our community journeying together? Is there that sense of walking together, of co-responsibility, of sharing, etc.? Some of the diocesan activities could be the synodal team. The main activities of the synodal team could be, one is resource and training. It is the responsibility of the synodal team to identify resources or to develop resources, and then to train the different groups, the clergy, maybe the religious in the diocese, lay leaders, maybe different commissions, different associations, etc. Then open and common consultations at a diocesan level, where you invite, again, it could be a mixed group, it could be probably an ecumenical group, it could be very focused groups, only based on maybe you call maybe activists, you call ecology people, etc. So open and common consultations at the diocesan level. And finally, synthesis. These are the main roles or the responsibility or the activities that the synodal team could do, the minimum. The next is the institutions and forums in our diocese. One activity could be dialogue, having a dialogue with people on what is a synodal church, getting a general feeling from the people of a synodal church, and how could we make the diocese a synodal church, or if it is already on a synodal path, a path where there is co-responsibility and working together, identifying those best practices, those maybe those tools, those practices that have made it a very synodal or a very family or a very united or a very journeying together diocese. So identifying that, if not dialoguing with people on what is a synodal church according to them, some sharing on it and getting out some feedback. And then is again on the church and society, having consultations or dialogue or conversations on the role or the relationship between the church and society. That is the next level, which would involve the mission part of whether my church is, or our church or our diocese is walking together with other people, with the world in general, with ecology, with the environment, with the society, etc. Commissions could have audience-based consultations, because that is what would be there. So that would mean it would not overlap. Now, many of you would think in the parish, the youth will come along with maybe for a consultation. So why does a youth commission need to have a consultation? Because that is where it will bring out the voices of that particular group. For example, what do the women of the diocese, what do the women of that particular local diocese or parish or a deanery feel about synodality, about a synodal church? What do the young people feel? What do the migrants feel? So that is where they will form focused reports and synthesis and some revelations. And last would be the role of CRI and religious communities. One is reflective consultations on synodality with the local church as a parallel structure to our hierarchy or the diocesan structure. Certainly religious communities can have those reflections and have a kind of a feedback mechanism, have a kind of a externally evaluating system of thinking critically of what is synodality within the local church. And the second role could be of assisting the diocese, the parish, and their institutions in animation, of facilitating these consultations, getting the general voice of people, and putting together things. These are some of the activities. Now, what are these consultations or activities? There could be two types, as I said, could be formal activities or informal events. Formal activities are things like a synodal meeting, where you gather people in a parish or maybe 2-3 parishes together, And then it is based on the theme, sub-themes, or questions based, where you would pick up the theme of the synod, you would pick up the 10 themes, or maybe questionnaires, and you would have some discussions on that, etc. Or an SAC meet. Again, a very formal setup where you come together in a very synodal atmosphere, different groups of people, different backgrounds, etc. So that is a synodal, a formal, one of the formal activities, which would be very well planned, and a mixed group of people from different backgrounds, thereby making it a synodal gathering of people. The next could be reflective dialogues, curious probing of people's experience of a synodal church, where you bring together people. Maybe they are not very open to speaking, to sharing. So you will throw in certain questions, or you will throw in certain such stimulus that is going to probe them to share, that is going to make them, out of curiosity, raise questions or share probably the best practices that they have experienced, the failures they have seen, or the dreams they have for the church. And then our routine formal activities like having a seminar, having a conference, having questionnaires being circulated for people to respond, having online meetings, where everything is very planned. Informal events, it is again stressed in the Vademecum to have informal events, because that is where the actual sharing comes out, on a dining table, in a park, during a walk, where people speak from their heart. Or if not, to at least have informal moments between a formal gathering, to make sure there is enough time during lunch, dinner, some free time where people come together, some interaction activities, some ice breaking activities and sessions where people will come into interaction, into dialogue, and sharing things that they wouldn't in a formal setup. So the goal of an informal event should be the physical, cultural, social, and charitable activities to build communion among participants. It is to build communion among participants, renewing the church through new experiences of fraternity with one another. Yes.
Possible about 2 minutes more.
Yes. Just 2 more slides. Now, what could some of these activities be? It would be the way of the Jesus model, how Jesus just journeyed, walked with people, encountered people, chit-chatted with them, and got a feedback from them, listened to them, etc. Gathering people, sharing a meal, observing the attitudes of people in a gathering, having spiritual conversations with people, journeys, things like pilgrimages, picnics, or via things like skits, plays, musicals, dance, paintings, debates, articles, etc., listening to one another in a less formal and more spontaneous exchange during break times. Now, one example here could be, for example, you get together, let's say, a group of migrants. You want to do something with the migrants in a parish or an institution or the migrant commission. So you bring them together, you follow the methodology, have a prayer, reading of the word of God, a little reflection, and then you ask people to share a reflection of what strikes them from the Bible passage. It could be a Bible passage got to do with migration. And then you invite them to share in smaller groups, or if it is a small group already, to share one by one their migration story, the reasons and experiences why they migrated, what was their experience and their original place, the place where they are now. Then present them with 2 questions to facilitate further sharing, and invite them to share their journey with fellow companions and people in their neighborhood and workplace at the end. Questions could be questions like, how was the walking together with the church in their homeland? How do they perceive the walking together in the local church here? Or share any such moment where you felt the church walked along with you or left you out. How welcome and at home do you feel in this place or at your workplace, in school or college, etc.? And what could be some of the measures to make migrants feel inclusive and part of the local communities? Again, for example, with a group of youth who wouldn't like to come for a formal consultation or a seminar, you could do things like in a parish or maybe an institution, for example, bring them together and stimulate them. Stimulate how? Maybe show them a movie like The Chosen, or maybe a movie like Two Popes, or anything, Jesus of Nazareth. And then based on that, you throw in questions in a bigger group or smaller group and help them analyze. For example, with the movie Chosen, you can put questions like, have you experienced the church resonate the style of Jesus that you saw in the movie just now? Or share about a priest or a nun you saw who resembles the approach of Jesus. Which of the personalities of the apostles do you relate with? Have you been accepted in the church this way? What can you offer to the church with your gifts, etc.? Or for example, with children or students who would not even probably be able to share and have a discussion, just gather them in a group, or individually ask them to share their idea of a synodal church, or to simplify it in simple words, a church journeying together with everyone via, you could have a chit chat with kids, or ask them to make a poster, write an essay, have a debate or a skit, or just sharing an incident or experience on topics such as my dream church, what I love about the church, is the church one family, one cherishable memory or painful memory of mine, am I a leader in the church, and role of church in the society. That's it. That is my presentation about what are the different target groups and how we could have these activities and synodal conversations or interactions and consultations.